It's 1:31. We could roll the tape. Good afternoon. I'll call to order this meeting of the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners on Thursday, November 6, 2025. It's 1:32 p.m. I'm Irene Fernando, Chair of the Board and District 2 Commissioner. I'm joined by District 1 Commissioner Jeff Lundy, District 3 Commissioner Marion Green, District 4 Commissioner Angela Conley, District 6 Commissioner Heather Edelson, and District 7 Commissioner Kevin Anderson. Hennepin County acknowledges that the magnificent land and vibrant waterways from which our institutions benefit are located upon the cultural, spiritual, and indigenous homeland of the Dakota Oyate. Hennepin County calls attention to the Dakota people's ongoing connection to this special place. Onto the agenda, the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is to approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Commissioners Edelson and Anderson. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries and our agenda is approved. Next is Hennepin highlights, for which we have none. Then 4 on the agenda is minutes from the previous meeting of 4A, October 14, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners Edelson and Conley. Any notes or corrections on the minutes? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 is referral of correspondence and department communications. 5A to 5D are correspondence, and 5E to 5AU are department communications. May I have a motion to accept and refer as recommended?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners Anderson and Conley. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6 is Commissioner communications, and we have 2. First is Veterans Day, offered by Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next week, November 11th, is Veterans Day. This is a day that we get to recognize, celebrate, and honor all of those who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Hennepin County is committed to serving our veterans and supporting our veterans in a multitude of ways. Together with our partners, we're helping veterans find safe, stable housing and overcome homelessness. Last year, we met the benchmarks for effectively ending veteran homelessness among veterans in our county. We are also certified by the state as a Beyond the Yellow Ribbon organization, where we help meet the needs of military veterans, service members, and their families. Our nationally accredited Veteran Service Office works year-round to help service members, veterans, survivors, and family members efficiently navigate the Veterans Administration benefit system. They also coordinate a veteran service newsletter to help keep veterans and their family members directly informed of important information, updates, and resources. To learn more or to get assistance, visit hennepin.us/veterans.
Thank you. The second communication is the Hennepin County Student Art Contest, offered by Commissioner Edelson.
I am very excited to announce that the Hennepin County is sponsoring a student art contest in partnership with the Minneapolis Institute of Art. Students in grades 6 through 12 who live or attend school in Hennepin County are invited to enter the contest. Winning will be honored and exhibited at the Minneapolis Institute of Art on March 14th, so mark your calendars. This year's theme, Belonging Begins Here, Our Stories, Our County, and Our Pride, invites students to explore the meaning of belonging through their own personal and local lens. The program encourages participants to reflect on their identities, communities, and shared spaces that foster inclusion and connections. There will be 5 winners from each district. with a total of 35 pieces of art being displayed. Students will highlight stories and landmarks and cultural touchpoints within their district that bring people together or represent sources of pride. The contest submissions are beginning to be accepted now, and we can start sharing it through January 4th when the submission process will close. For more information and full list of context guidelines, you can enter the contest or visit the URL on the screen now.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is inaugural, so I do want to give you a bit of a shout out at, it's inaugural for the county, and of course, appreciate that you had brought in that action.
Thank you, Chair.
We are on to number 8 of the agenda, and I'll acknowledge that I skipped over 6, which is commendations, for which we had none. So we're on 8 on the agenda, which is the claims register. 8A for the period ending October 17, 2025, 8B for the period ending October 24, and 8C, the claims register for the period ending October 31, 2025. May I have a motion for all, please? Thank you, Commissioners Green and Lundy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9 is the consent agenda. These are items that pass unanimously out of committee. May I have a motion for the full block, please? Thank you, Commissioners Anderson and Edelson. So we have 9A to 9W before us. Are there items that colleagues would like to highlight prior to voting? Commissioner Anderson.
I just want to acknowledge the body of work in this for the embedded social workers. All of the contracts that are being renewed and extended represent so many years of hard work and collaboration with our cities that are really having a demonstrable effect on improving the lives of our residents. And I just want to uplift that, not a specific item, but a number of things that are happening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Anderson, for saying that. I concur very much with your remarks, and I know in service to the city of St. Louis Park, as I am and have been for the last while, that is such an appreciated program in the city, and they were one of sort of the early partnerships, but it's been marvelous to see this great work expanded to many, many other jurisdictions, and want to thank everybody for their involvement.
Thank you. Any other further highlighting? Okay, with items 9A to 9W before us, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10 are non-consent items. That means that they would have passed out of committee, but not unanimously, for which we have none. 11 are progress items. These items progressed from committee to board without a vote, and we have 2. 11A is to negotiate waste delivery agreements with licensed waste haulers for the period of January 1, 2026 to December 31, 2027, and identify market price for waste management services. I'll move this. May I have a second? Second by Commissioner Anderson. Ms. Wetland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, Lisa Cerny, Assistant County Administrator of Public Works, is here and can provide background.
Welcome.
Chair, Commissioners, as you stated, the item before you authorizes the negotiation of approximately 75 waste hauler agreements, and then secondly, identifies the market price for the waste management services at $85 per ton. I also want to add that we did receive an email from the city of Minneapolis. That's kind of the conversation that occurred a couple weeks ago now. From the city of Minneapolis Chief Operating Officer stating their commitment to taking action towards meeting our shared vision for zero waste, and recognizing that the actions that they described in their email are required before HERC can be closed, and have discussions about new and different uses of that space.
Thank you. So I'll, in transparency, colleagues, I'd like to move an amendment. But prior to that, wanted to make sure if anybody had a commentary before I move this amendment. Okay, so I will move to amend the action before us, which is 11A, to add a second resolving clause. Right, there's 3 total, so this one would be in the middle. Or at the, I guess it doesn't matter, but in my head it was in the middle. Be it further resolved that the waste delivery agreement with cities of the first class for acceptable waste collected in Hennepin County during the period January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2027 shall be brought before the county board for final approval. And so I'd like to move that, and if I have a second, I can explain myself. Thank you, Commissioner Conley. It's mainly, as Ms. Cerny shared, we received this correspondence yesterday. There's a lengthy amount of information present there. Hopefully that this is a way that we, the county, can both proceed with the routine item of negotiating 75 waste hauler agreements while also creating a parallel path to ensure that we are really in lockstep with the city of Minneapolis as the waste delivery agreement comes back before us. So that's the intention. It allows hopefully greater clarity. I had some questions from the lengthy correspondence from yesterday, and so hoping that this is a solution that commissioners would be open to. So this is an amendment, not yet the action. Discussion is open. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as mentioned, we had a brief discussion about this before. I think I'm supportive, but I do want to just ask, does creating this additional step cause any, does it cause any additional challenges in finalizing, approving the contracts? I know these are generally just kind of routine, but I want to make sure that we're able to still get these in place if the city of Minneapolis chooses to go along with it.
Chair Fernando, Commissioner Anderson, if I'm understanding the revision, is it's just pulling out the negotiation with the cities of the first class or the city of Minneapolis in a separate process that staff would bring that back to you before action yet this year. Before I answer your question, Commissioner Anderson, I want to just make sure that's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. My intention is resolving clause 1, that the county administrator is authorized to negotiate waste delivery agreements for everybody, basically. And then resolving clause 2, so that includes cities of the first class, and then resolving clause 2 says that for final approval of that one contract has to come back here. So in effect, the work that that administration has proposed can be pursued in whole, comprehensively, with one additional approval. Again, that was lengthy correspondence that the full board received yesterday. Haven't even been able to acknowledge receipt of that packet, and wanting just to provide one more step for this body to be able to engage with the one contract.
So thank you for that clarity, Chair Fernando. My answer would be yes. I mean, that this allows staff to move forward with the majority of them, and we can continue to have that conversation. The one piece that I would add is I believe in the first resolving clause, you would need to add except cities of the first class, because otherwise it states all of them there as well. So just to make sure that the intent of what you're sharing, Chair Fernando, is in all of the resolving clauses.
Well, let's see if this first one passes, and then should that be the case, we can amend the first clause to match that if it comes to that. But let's keep the discussion up on the amendment just to see if the will is there, and of course, if it's not, then that's a separate conversation. Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this seems relatively innocuous, and the way I'm understanding it and its interaction with the first resolving clause is that the work of negotiating waste agreements can continue with including cities of the first class, and this is just the fact that the board wants to vote on the final agreement.
Yes, exactly. So my interest in this in transparency is this is a routine item, except that there's a policy position from the city of Minneapolis that we would benefit from clarity as we proceed to work together on solid waste.
Yes, yes. So the way I'm understanding it, actually, there aren't any amendments needed to the first be resolved clause, because that work will continue, and then when the agreements are negotiated, this one agreement comes to us. So,
Great.
If
Further discussion? Oh, wait, sorry, they're looking at me. Oh, gosh, there's a lot happening there.
If I may, I think
Go
the one piece that may need to be accepted is the signing the agreements on behalf of Hennepin County would need to be accepted, because that would have to come back.
There's a lot of lawyers speaking.
I know,
and
like
one has
this
raised
is
his hand,
this is
so
my hearing of what the lawyers are chattering about. So
I think Mr. Schweigert, please.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. So I think the the potential ambiguity as written is that the first resolving clause gives authority to sign. Then the second resolving clause is saying, but it has to come back to the county board. So I think you could clarify that if it was the will of you as the author of the amendment and of the body, to add at the end of your new clause something like prior to signature or prior to signature by the chair. And that would indicate that it would need to come back to this body before it is signed.
Excellent. Let's see if there is interest in this amendment, and then we can proceed with adding that prior to signature. Commissioner Nelson.
I just want to make sure, I mean, I think I'm fine with this. The only thing I just want to make sure, and I think Commissioner Anderson, you had asked that, it's just in the background, it's all current waste delivery agreements will terminate on December 31st, 2025. I just want to make sure that there's going to be no impact to services for residents in Minneapolis. Is that correct? Okay, yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I am, as a Minneapolis resident, I am also eager to not have disruption. I just want to be very clear. Yes, thank you. Further discussion on the, okay, so it seems like there might be some interest in it, but we'll see when we vote. So I had moved this amendment and Commissioner Conley had seconded it. And looking at council, for final approval prior to signature, is that what the recommendation is, to have the first and amended clause be compatible?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, yes.
Okay, just prior to signature. That's it, just at the end, okay. So, does that sound, as the seconder, does that sound, okay. So I'll just read it for the record. It would maintain the existing be it resolved clause as the first. County administrator authorized to negotiate waste delivery agreements. Then the amendment that is before us, which we will vote on here in a moment, would read in full, be it further resolved that the waste delivery agreement with the cities of the first class for acceptable waste collected in Hennepin County during the period January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2027 shall be brought before the county board for final approval prior to signature, semicolon and. That is what's before us, are prepared for a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That amendment prevails, and so we are back to 11A as amended. Discussion on 11A as amended prior to voting. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 11B is to approve residential waste reduction and recycling funding policy, negotiate SCORE grant agreements. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioners Anderson and Green. Ms. Wetland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, Lisa Cerny is here and can provide background.
Welcome again.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Again, before you is the approval of the updated residential waste reduction and recycling funding policy, as well as the authorization to negotiate SCORE grant agreements. I did send an email last week with a number of this morning with a number of follow-up questions related to how our SCORE dollars distributed. So there was that Excel spreadsheet that kind of demonstrated generally where those funds are distributed. And I guess with that, I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Discussion, Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Cerny. Colleagues, I would like to present possibly two very small amendments to the plan. This is a thorough plan. And I'm on page 8 of the plan itself under D, Cities of the First Class. The first sentence reads, cities of the first class must comply with the county's measurable performance standards and report recycling rates and compliance rates to the county annually by February 15th. What I am hoping to do with this language is to have it read and report recycling rates and compliance rates to the county, striking the word annually, by February 15th and biannually thereafter. And I'll explain the second one and then give some reasoning why I would like to do this. In the second paragraph, when it talks about the performance improvement plan, a Waste reduction and recycling improvement plan must be submitted to the city within 90 days. I would like to scratch 90 and change that to 60 days. So the reason for these two changes is I think that it represents the urgency around zero waste in Hennepin County and the city of Minneapolis, and the movement that would need to be made to meet not only our goals, but the goals of the city as stated through the correspondence that we received from the city. So two small amendments.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. So page 8,
Yep.
D, cities of the first class, paragraph 1, and then maybe just maybe say it in motion form. I can second it, but just say them both in motion form. Thanks for that little bit of
Sure,
that.
so I'd like to make the motion, Madam Chair, for page 8, under section D, cities of the first class, the first sentence would read, cities of the first class must comply with the county's measurable performance standards and report recycling rates and compliance rates to the county by February 15th and biannually thereafter.
Point of clarification, yeah, to clarify.
Checking for understanding. Biannually meaning twice a year or biannually meaning every 2 years?
That's a great question.
Say twice per year then.
Twice per year.
Okay.
Because I was trying to follow the language in the second sentence, which is biannually, so I think that should also read then twice per year, because my intention is twice per year instead of once.
Okay.
So semi-annually then in both sentences.
Okay, so you've moved that first sentence, so it says by February 15th, twice per year and thereafter. Is that the first amendment?
Yes.
Okay, I can second that to put that before us. I personally think that makes a lot of sense. Colleagues, any feedback? Commissioner Conley has proposed an amendment for page 8, letter D, paragraph 1, sentence 1.
Madam Chair, just clarification,
Yes.
that's only for cities of the first class, right? Okay, all right, then yes, I'm okay.
Okay, great. So there's an amendment before us. Let's just go one at a time. I think that's most straightforward. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That amendment prevails.
Thank you.
And you said you had a second amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So in that second following paragraph, it's just moving up the reporting from 90 days to 60 days. And again, that is to meet the urgency of the moment and the work that is being done by the county through this policy and through what we've received from the city.
So
I would like to move that we change a waste reduction and recycling improvement plan must be submitted by the city within 60 days.
Right, I'll second that. So before us is, this amendment just really replaces the number 9 with the number 6. So it'd be 60 instead of 90. Still page 8, still section D, but second paragraph, second sentence. That's what's before us.
Was it seconded?
Yes, I'll second it. Yeah, yeah. Did you have further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Ellison.
Yes, Madam Chair, I just, I don't live in Minneapolis, I don't live there, but I just want to just clarify here. So I'm fine with the 60 days, but I guess what I'm wondering is what would happen if the compliance is not met within the 60 days? Because what I worry about is if the county does not approve or implement plan, the SCORE funding will be withheld. So tell me, 60 days is a lot, and a lot can happen in a city. And I just worry about how much funding Minneapolis gets for SCORE funding and how that would impact the city.
So, Madam Chair, I'll take a stab at that.
Yeah.
I would say that the remainder of the paragraph talks about what needs to be submitted and then the next steps after that. So if they, the county would work with them on this performance improvement plan, but they have 60 days to do that after being notified by the county. And they have to specify the efforts that they'll take to satisfy the standards identified by the county, right? So during the 60 days, that's happening, we're reviewing it. And if the county does not approve the improvement plan, then the SCORE funding will be withheld. So there is a situation where SCORE funding would not go out if the performance plan is not acceptable by the county.
Madam Chair, just how much, if maybe Lisa Cerny could answer, how much SCORE funding does Minneapolis get?
Conferring, okay, yes.
Chair, Commissioner Edelson, it's about 1.7 million.
Okay, thank you.
Still on the amendment? Any, Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And curious, when does SCORE funding typically go out to cities?
Chair Fernando, Commissioner Anderson, it typically happens about twice per year, and I'm looking for this in this document. June and November-ish.
Okay. So
That is enough time, yeah.
yeah, and I'm wondering if if changing the 90 to 60 gets us anything. I think I don't know, because there's, even if it was a 90-day, that's 3 months from now, that would be February, end of February, middle of February. I don't know. My math is not mathing. But if it's sometime in February and the initial SCORE funding is in June, then does changing it to sometime in January achieve anything other than another month of remedial action? Is there another opportunity for the city of Minneapolis to remediate any disputes that we might have, so that SCORE funding can be preserved? I guess that would be, I'm curious what your, the intention and what the process would look like.
Chair Fernando, Commissioner Anderson, here's my simple take on the 90 to 60 is it's just 30 less days by which we have the same conversation that is laid out in the policy. And so to some degree, to Commissioner Conley's point, is it just accelerates and puts a finer point on the urgency to make sure those conversations are happening quickly and actions are being taken on both sides.
From there, is there an opportunity to provide another remediation if, in the event that the plan, the improvement plan that's submitted from the city, for whatever reason, is not accepted by the county? Is there an opportunity to then remediate, or would we have the opportunity to allow that so that come June, when SCORE funding would typically go out, they could have in place some kind of security, knowing that the 1.7 million would be available to put towards programming, including organics and recycling?
I mean, I'm not sure who that was to, but I do want to add a sentence. I do want to contribute a comment. I don't want to speak for you, Commissioner Conley, but my take on your amendment going from 90 to 60 is to express urgency. I mean, I don't think any of us want to withhold money. It is attempting to ensure that the city's performance matches its own goals. And that was feedback that I had from a few weeks ago, that the plan that was submitted a few weeks ago was activity that did not match even the city's own stated goals. And so that's a tension point for me individually here, is that the city of Minneapolis has proclaimed specific policy positions and zero waste goals, two separate things that we are hoping that they achieve. And so that's how I read this personally, but I understand that there are many perspectives, but I wanted to contribute that this is not us creating a goal for somebody else, it's the city's own goals. And this is one mechanism, and 60 versus 90, 60 days is a lot of time still. So, if it was 30, that would be different, right? Going from 90 to 30 or something, that's quite a turnaround. But I think 90 to 60, personally, I'm in support of this and see the benefit. But again, we're still on discussion for the amendment. Please, Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Initially, I was at 30 days, just for transparency's sake. I'm just saying, we have a stated mission to accelerate zero waste in this county, in all 45 cities, for 1.3 million people. That has been our stated goal, to accelerate zero waste in our county. So all of our cities, starting with the cities of the first class, which is one, should have that same urgency, in my opinion. So going from 3 months to 2, I think, gives enough time for these next couple of steps, which is the improvement plan must specify the efforts the city will take to implement and satisfy performance standards identified by the county. The improvement plan must be negotiated with the county and approved by the county. If the county does not approve the plan, then SCORE funding will be withheld. Not maybe, but will be. But I think that gives the city enough time, 2 months, to really identify, if we say there's 3 things that you need to come into compliance on, that they can work that into their plan, and then present that to the county, and we could approve it and say, okay, that meets our goals. But for me, just that change in time frame is to accelerate zero waste in the cities of the first class to meet our goals of accelerating zero waste as a county of the first class. I don't know if that's what we're called. I don't know.
No, we're just calling.
We're just a county. Okay. All right. So that's my intent behind that. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, we still have Commissioner Conley's second amendment before us. Further discussion on the amendment prior to voting. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
That is 5 in favor and 1 opposed. And the amendment prevails. So now we have 11B as amended before us, unless there are other amendments. Are there other amendments, colleagues? This is 11B. Seeing none, okay, so we have 11B as amended, both amendments on page 8, section D. Further discussion on 11B. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are on to 12, old business. These are items that would have been seen by this board previously and laid over to today, for which we have none. And then 13 are immediate approvals, and we have several. 13A is recognizing Native American Heritage Month in Hennepin County, offered by Commissioner Conley. Would you like to move it?
I will move it, Madam Chair.
I will second it. Go ahead.
Thank you. So this month is Native American Heritage Month, and today I would like to bring forward this proclamation to officially recognize November as Native American Heritage Month in Hennepin County. I'll ask the clerk to read our resolution, and then I have some comments after that.
Whereas November has been designated Native American Heritage Month by every president since 1995. And whereas the month celebrates the culture, accomplishments, history, and presence of the people who first inhabited the United States, Minnesota, and Hennepin County. And whereas the indigenous peoples who resided on this land prior to the arrival of European settlers experienced a history of interactions with Europeans and European American settlers that was defined by broken promises, violence, deprivation, and disease. And whereas Hennepin County is home to tribal nations and a resilient and robust urban Native American community. And whereas Hennepin County strives to eliminate systemic racism and discrimination towards indigenous peoples, seeks to promote practices and policies that honor the county's indigenous roots, history, and contributions, recognizes indigenous people as contemporary peoples, and is committed to meaningful and genuine government-to-government relationships with the tribal nations that share the state's geography. And whereas during Native American Heritage Month and beyond, Hennepin County honors the vibrant and diverse Native American cultures in our community today. We renew our commitment to our government-to-government relationships and promote appreciation, equity, and anti-racism, reconciliation, understanding, friendship, and continued partnerships among all Minnesotans and the Native peoples of this land. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners recognizes November as Native American Heritage Month in Hennepin County.
Thank you. So, as Chair Fernando acknowledged at the beginning of this meeting and every board meeting, we are currently on sacred Dakota land, and the original inhabitants of this land are still very much still a part of our community, very much still here. That acknowledgement that is read at the start of our meetings is part of a longer land and water acknowledgement that the board adopted in 2022 and was written by local American Indian tribal leaders. This is a proclamation that we offer every year, and it is just really important that we continue to celebrate the diverse American Indian cultures within our community, while we also promote practices and policies that deepen our partnership and connection to the Indigenous communities within our county. And with acknowledgement comes action. I'm proud of the work that we're doing on Cedar Avenue, for example, in Little Earth, and our partnership, longstanding partnership with Four Sisters Farm. And I look forward to continued action. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for bringing this forward. Colleagues, any discussion prior to voting? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and the Board of Commissioners officially recognizes November as Native American Heritage Month in Hennepin County. 13B is to establish a closed legal meeting on Thursday, December 4, 2025, beginning at 1 p.m. I'll move this.
Second?
Thank you, Commissioner Green. It's pretty straightforward. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 13C is an agreement with Energy Center Minneapolis LLC to provide steam and chilled water utilities to the 701 building. The period is November 15, 2025 to November 15, 2030, with a not to exceed of $3.575 million. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Commissioners Anderson and Edelson. Ms. Wetland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, Christy Duffy, Director of Facility Services, is here and can provide background information.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members. This request is for a contract to provide steam and chilled water to the 701 building located here in downtown Minneapolis. This is a 5-year agreement with the option to extend for 3 additional 5-year periods. When the county acquired the building, we assumed the existing 20-year contract with Cordia. This contract expired in December of 2024 and has been extended on a month-to-month basis. This contract would replace that monthly contract with a new one.
Discussion. I do have one question. What moved us from monthly to the 5-year, right? Is this 5 years?
Yes, this is a 5-year contract, and then we have the option to extend it 3 additional times, each for 5 years.
But we were approving monthly, you had said earlier?
We're currently on a month-to-month basis while we could negotiate this 5-year contract.
Understood. Okay. We weren't monthly that was not my memory. And so when you had said that, I understand now. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 13C is approved. 13D is an agreement with Alimac Group to provide design, manufacturing, and installation of an exterior building maintenance unit. This is the 625 building roof crane project with a not to exceed of not quite $4.5 million. May I have a motion, please?
I move approval.
Thank you, Commissioners Green and Lundy. Ms. Wetland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, Christy Duffy, Director of Facility Services, will provide background.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board. This project will replace the 42-year-old exterior roof-mounted building maintenance unit, which has reached the end of its useful life and can no longer be repaired or serviced. This access equipment is critical to safely maintain the building exterior, including window repair and maintenance. This system will be specifically designed for the building's unique shape and provide access to areas not reachable by other systems. The new building maintenance unit will also support the upcoming 625 window replacement project, which is included in the CIP budget. 625 will remain open and occupied during this work. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question around the process for choosing Alimac Group and how they were chosen to do this work.
This was a sole selection because of the unique nature of the equipment.
Further discussion, Commissioner Ellison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. $4 million for a roof? That is so much money. That's just, were other bids, this is the best one we got?
This is the price of this type of equipment, and it is the only option that will allow us to maintain the exterior of the building.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Conley.
Sorry, I guess I do have one more. Sole selection is, we don't do that relatively often, so I'm assuming these are very unique circumstances. So can you just speak to what a sole selection process is?
Thank you. We're familiar with this equipment because it's used throughout downtown, so we have a high level of confidence in this company's ability to provide the services that we need. And again, it's a custom requirement. You are familiar with the shape of the 625 building. It's very unique. And in order to be able to reach all of those surfaces at those various angles, this is the solution that we've identified.
Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 13D is approved. 13E is to authorize $1.5 million fund transfer for rental assistance from the 2025 Local Affordable Housing Aid to HSPH, it's a public health, and to supplement appropriation to the 2025 Public Health Department budget. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Commissioners Conley and Green. Ms. Welland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, this board action requests this board action request allocates additional funding to provide eviction prevention assistance, including financial assistance to families, seniors, and people with disability who have very low incomes. In Hennepin County, we consistently see high rates of eviction filings among these groups, and additional strains on low-income household budgets require that we allocate additional funding to be able to maintain coverage for these populations through 2025. Director of Housing Stability David Hewitt is here and available to answer any questions on this action.
Thank you. Questions and discussion on this, colleagues? Thank you for identifying so explicitly the need and a solution. Go ahead, Ms. Welland.
Chair, please proceed. I had an error.
Well, it doesn't seem like an error. This is just really, really excellent work. This is based on data. It is utilizing funds for its intended use at a time where households need it. So really appreciate this proposal coming forward at this time. With no discussion, further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 13E is approved. 13F is to delegate authority to Hennepin County Administrator to negotiate contracts, contract amendments, and issue purchase orders with selected Minnesota food banks, food shelves, and food rescue through December 31 of 2025 with a not to exceed of $2 million supplemental appropriation to the Public Health 2025 department budget. Yes, thank you for the motion, Commissioner Green, and the second, Commissioner Conley. Ms. Wetland. Pardon, there is an R1, but yes, same mover and seconder, and there is an R1 before us. Ms. Wetland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, the board action request before you will provide up to $2 million for food banks, food shelves, and food rescue organizations to the end of 2025. This is an immediate approval due to the urgency facing many communities due to the federal government not funding food assistance payments through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. As of today, benefits will not be paid out in full for November, and households will still have shortfalls. New applicants will not begin receiving benefits after November 1st while the shutdown continues. If the shutdown persists, other programs could be affected, including WIC, which provides nutritious food and infant formula for families with very young children. Currently, Hennepin County has about 16,000 people participating in WIC. This infusion of resources will provide needed assistance in this time of increasing need for community organizations that were stretched thin before the federal shutdown. Public Health Director Sarah Hawley and Economic Supports Director Reggie Wagner are available to answer any further questions and provide additional information. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion. Oh, yes, Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I had first comments and then a question. I'm just so glad to see this. This is such an urgent need in our communities. I wanted to just mention, I know that the bar says negotiate food security contracts and contract amendments. Oh, no, maybe it was in the background. But in any event, I wanted to make sure that the contracts are inclusive of local providers, that it's not just the big guys. And
Chair Fernando, Commissioner Green, thank you for that question. Yes, there is a broad strategy that has been in existence prior to the shutdown that leverages an extensive group of our food support providers to ensure that we provide local resource and access to our community.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to hear that. And as you mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah, we've done this before, and there's been that same push. So thank you so much. And then I wanted to ask, or no, I wanted to highlight to those listening at home, this is for through December 31st, 2025. This is not about 2026. So this demonstrates to anybody paying attention the scale of the challenge. So I just wanted to name that. And then the last question that I had is, how does this interact with the sort of confusing signals that we've received from the courts? Or actually, I think the courts have been quite clear, and maybe the federal government has been less clear about whether or not they are required to pay, but may or may not actually do what they're required to do.
Chair Fernando, Commissioner Green, I would like to ask Reggie Wagner to provide some background information on that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Reggie Wagner, Director for Economic Supports. So briefly, with the status of the litigation, and yes, there were confusing statements and so forth, but here's what we understand. What we understand from our state agency is that the contingency fund that was being pointed to as a source of SNAP funding available, I think we all knew didn't have the full amount that the program would need for a month of benefits. The U.S. Department of Agriculture devised a formula to reduce household benefits as part of, as I understand it, the court actions. Late last night, they actually revised that formula again so that families would get slightly more, but they will not get a full payment. So we believe from what we're hearing that there is a formula in place that states can now apply to downward reduce what the normal monthly payment would have been. We also are hearing, and we talked to our state partners very late yesterday, that there are some systems issues that they need to work through. And I think that's going to vary from state to state on how quickly they can get the payments out. So I was part of a meeting very late yesterday with some folks from the DCYF, our state agency, our Minute agency. They do not have a timeline yet. We're trying to work with them and provide whatever assistance we can to think through how they might do it. So there would be payments reduced, and the timing, particularly for Minnesota, we just don't know that yet.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Wagner. Just a quick follow-up. So I'm only somewhat comforted by the idea that they've changed the formula so the payments can be reduced, which means that more families' needs can be met. But actually, I shouldn't say their needs can be met. More families can receive money, but their needs will not be met as previously defined. And I guess there's not an answer to that. It just needs to be acknowledged.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, part of the formula would have taken what the normal kind of base of the allotment would have been and reduced that by 50%. And then if the household had earned income, take an additional 35% reduction. We saw a few numbers when my team ran some numbers, and those would be significant decreases, particularly for larger households. My understanding is they went from a 50% reduction of that base food SNAP allotment to only a 35%. I say only. So it's right. National Advocates ran numbers and said, we think you still have money on the bottom line, change the formula. That's what I think really happened. And so they did that very late last night. But the numbers that we looked at, it can be very significant for what a household wouldn't get. We're concerned, we're hearing that there would be families that would have a 0 or 1 or 2 member households. So it could be, seniors, could be adults. So we don't know exactly how that's going to play out. I think we have to work with our state partner to just see in the end, especially with that last change from last night, whether there will be families or individuals that would see a 0 benefit amount. The average payment for individuals is about $178.
Well, thank you so much for the additional information and also for the way that I know you and the team are just sticking to this issue like glue and communicating and partnering with the state. So big thanks in this really, really scary moment on these important programs.
And probably don't go too far. Everybody's raised their hand at some point. So just as a statement, Commissioner Conley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, thank you for that. The fact is that we will have working families and children that will not have access to food this month. They will be hungry, and we don't even know how much longer that will be. That just disgusts me that we are in a situation where, beyond our control, there has been a choice to not feed babies and children and families, and that's wild. I often say that your local government, your county, is your first line of defense against those types of things. And seeing this board action solidifies that belief to me that we are stepping in to infuse dollars to our partners. And I want to thank Commissioner Green because I'm thinking of the little guys too. I know in my district specifically, there are a lot of food shelves, and I've went out and I've toured a couple of them who have talked about the inability to access things like sugar and oil and halal foods, goat meat, for example. I would really like to know once I'm assuming this will pass. And I would like an assurance that we can navigate some of the issues that our smaller providers. The background talks about culturally relevant and familiar foods, but what I'm hearing in the community is that some of those foods are not readily accessible from some of the larger providers that they contract with. So that's why the little guys are important to me, because I've heard, again, I'll just repeat it, that things like sugar, oil, everybody uses oil for cooking. And halal foods are not as accessible as we thought they were, or inaccessible at all right now. And so I need to know what's behind that. So I'm thankful that that language is in this resolution, because I would like follow up later as to how we're getting some of those culturally relevant and familiar foods out to the community. So again, thankful for this influx of dollars into our food partners, because they right now are seeing dramatic increases. They were seeing dramatic increases before this, right? Before the shutdown. So the pressure is on. I also just want to call out in the background, it talks about how our public health department is already preparing for what might happen with the WIC program and working with childcare providers, schools, local businesses, and healthcare providers, trusted messengers, to really engage on what could happen with programs that are essential, like WIC and childcare. But I think that they're going to need money to do that. I think that that depending upon how long the government stays shut down, we can't have moms without the ability to get formula through WIC, or babies the ability to get food through WIC. So that might take an influx of funding as well. So I hope that we're thinking through that lens as public health works with our partners to talk about like what could be should the government stay shut down. And I'm not optimistic right now that it's opening this week, just saying. So I want us to think about what funding public health might need to meet the needs of young families who receive WIC, who rely on child care assistance, especially transition year child care. That's the only reason I'm here right now, right? Is how do we backfill that if the federal government refuses to? And those are conversations that I hope are happening at the state too. Thank you.
Commissioner Lundy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just want to thank staff for bringing this together. I, like everyone else, have been talking about the local providers because I think they can deliver things the fastest when you get things moving. I think right now we're at a speed time, which is can we get people there, and having food with rice, which is a staple for many of my residents, having that ability to get that as soon as they can. And so I just want to commend staff for bringing this forward, put it in action. I also know it's a drop in the bucket. As long as they're shut down, we still have a hospital system to save. We're not sitting on big pots of money either, but at least we're stepping into it and trying to find something to bridge that gap. I want to thank, the efforts, the connections. I think more we talk, the more we find out there's hidden resources, whether it's or corporations stepping in and putting some money down. We're talking $2 million. There are corporations that routinely donate money, and I'm not calling them out. I'm thanking them. That those might be those times that they may want to say, you know what, this year we're going to put money into this and put it to good use and fast. And so I would just ask staff that if you get that opportunity to really aim at people who can deliver on speed, because I think that people are going to feel this fast. I just, I don't owe my allegiance to either party. I owe my allegiance to my residents. I'm absolutely disgusted, and felt like using a swear word, with both parties, Republicans and Democrats. I'm going to call them out by name in the federal government who have used people. So look at that, $180 per month. That's their bargaining chip. I'm talking to you. It's not your fault. But I'll try to look at Jody. That's their bargaining chip. Is $180. I hope they're proud of themselves. And I blame both parties because they're both part of the solution it's going to take to pass this, to get a continuing resolution or whatever they come up with to do that. We're talking about families who need infant food formula and also seniors who need food. That's your bargaining chip, that too. And I've tracked both parties. I've tracked all the people. They are excellent at blaming each other and assigning blame, but they're using these people as their chips, and I think that's absolutely disgusting. They could easily, if they want to continue to fight, they could do that, pass the resolution, pass whatever you need to do, and then you can go back and do what you do best, which is ignore the needs of the people that suffer, and you always can keep fighting. Because right now, there's nothing I'm more disgusted with is both parties in DC, because these are our people, 110,000 SNAP benefits, who average $180 a month. Boy, those are the people that are living high in life, aren't they? And then you have people on WIC that are up next. And we all know there are other programs that are at risk, that people depend on things that are going to suffer. It's time for them to do their one job, and that's to keep the government moving like we do, like cities do, like the state does, and own up to the fact that you've committed this resources to people and get it done. I'm just sick to death of both parties. They are exceptionally at avoiding the real thing, which is to help the people that need that help. And I am so grateful for staff coming, bringing this forward to do this. These are the people I represent. I see them. We have people going out to food shelves. We see the pain. We have seniors that don't know where they're going to get their food. And I'm glad that the people in DC are living a high life, having their fun, because I don't see a lot of fun happening with their inability to get stuff done. So again, thank you to our staff. You're actually doing the right thing. You're actually helping the people that need help. And I just want to do what we can. But there is a limit. There's a moment where we're going to be hurting for money, and that we're going to have to make choices. But hopefully common sense, which seems to be in short supply, will show up somewhere, and they can do what they're supposed to do and actually live up to the commitments that they've made. So thank you.
Commissioner Edelson.
Well, I agree with your frustration, both Commissioner Conley and Commissioner Lundy. I want to thank staff for finding funds. We didn't have to stop a playground, and that's actually out of the ballpark sales tax money I was reminded of. But, it makes me think of just how bad our culture is, our political culture is, when we are using food as a tool for negotiation. And it's a sad state of our society that we're in right now. Just the numbers, I mean, the governor gave $4 million. We have 440 Minnesotans that rely on these programs, and that's just SNAP. 110,000 being in Hennepin County, 14 votes. It's been 37 days of the shutdown, 37 days, and the Senate's had 14 votes where they can't come to an agreement. And people are saying, well, pass the CR. But the reality is, if they pass a continuing resolution, then people will lose their health care, and Hennepin will be harmed too. So it's so interesting, because it shouldn't be about politics, but it is. And so this idea of who is to blame, I honestly don't care. I just thank you for the $2 million. I hope that people can find their best selves in Washington, D.C., and realize just how terrible this moment is. Some of the food shelves, just to mention here, we have 118,000 federal workers too, and we're not talking about them necessarily, right? They don't qualify for any of these benefits yet. And they've had multiple paychecks where they haven't received them. People are calling into work. And it's just a larger systemic problem that we have. I know people have been going, food shelves have been going out to the airport to try to feed people. Some of the food shelves I had staff look into, that they have been seeing more than triple to double the amount of people coming in for help. And one resident asked me, Heather, what happens when somebody goes up? Do we verify income? And that is a problem with our society. We assume that somebody's going to go to a food shelf because they're trying to get ahead. They're not trying to get ahead. They're simply hungry. And there are so many things about this moment that I think we have lessons to learn on. What we don't. I always say, my sons, when you see something you don't like, you say something and you also realize the person you don't want to be. And I just would say for us as a county, we might always not agree on things, but we should never be at a cultural war place where we are not doing our jobs. So with that, I'm really excited to vote for this.
Maybe you could have sat down. Yeah, my apologies. We're just going to keep soapboxing up here. Proceed with your Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you for passing the soapbox over here. So I first absolutely thank you for bringing this forward. $2 million out of a $20 million a month gap that is being left. We know that it's not sufficient. We know it's not enough. It's something. And I hope that we can all agree that, in where we have the ability, we should be helping our neighbors, delivering something to our food shelves, making a contribution ourselves. I've had conversations with food shelves. They need protein. Commissioner Conley, you were mentioning some of the needs, right? Protein, sugar, oil, base ingredients for people to cook, the staples of, ready to prepare meals that are shelf stable, and financial contributions, because many of these food shelves will be able to go to other organizations and get food that they know they need for their community at rates that that can't be gotten from our local grocery stores. So I just want to say yes, and let's all be a part of this. And I'm sorry, I have to say, while there is absolutely a disgusting amount of finger pointing that is happening between both parties, one party specifically voted to cut food stamps next year. And it was not backed by the other party. And so it is not the same. So, and that's what I'll say. Thanks.
Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and perhaps Commissioner Anderson just got where I was going. So I wanted to just say, as I voiced earlier, I share all of our frustrations with what's going on here. Lives are at stake. This should not be being used as a political tool. And yet there is one party that has control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. And I could go further about what I think their motivations are, but I won't. I do think that this problem, and maybe it is a cultural problem, is at their feet, and that they need to look themselves in the mirror every day and figure out what they actually care about.
And perhaps as a closing soapbox, I'll express gratitude to providers. Providers are being put in a completely impossible space. And this is not enough. $2 million. It's half of what the state has done. So, it's significant. But $18 million a month just for SNAP, basically. WIC stands for Women, Infant, and Children, just to restate what WIC means. And the disparity will continue to grow because it's something like 1,200 applications we get weekly. So each week, there are more households that are likely eligible. And so my soapbox gripe will be about wages. I mean, economic independence is necessary for a household to be stable and thriving. And there are a lot of things that we'll need to take on to structurally tackle the holistic need. And for today, for November 6th today, in the not even 2 months remaining to the end of the year, I think amid our complaints, there is a lot of gratitude for staff bringing forward $2 million in a way that is expedient. It was responsive to particularly the human services budget briefing, I think. And so we want to express gratitude. Thank you to residents and providers for trusting us with your requests. And we do recognize that this is not the full amount that has been identified. And we will work to ensure that there's at least some relief as time goes on. So with that, I believe we will proceed to vote. All those in favor of 13F, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries and 13F is approved. I believe that concludes our agenda. So motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, Commissioners Edelson and Conley. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned, but don't go too far. I'll hand the virtual gavel over to Rail Chair Green.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Thursday, November 6th, 2025, and I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority. The first item of business is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Anderson, a second from Commissioner Fernando. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the agenda is approved. Second item of business is our minutes from our previous meeting, October 14th. I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Anderson. I'll second. Any notes or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, minutes are approved. No claims registered, no new business. I will call us adjourned. I didn't start off competitively. I didn't start competitively.